up, Evil Dead fans? In this video, I'm going to show you the cover, the sculpt I'm doing for the Evil Dead 1 book. Now, I am sculpting a positive that will turn into a negative, which will turn into the mold, of course, that will make covers. And let's go over the size before I show you what it looks like right now. So the size of the book will be the size of a DVD case. The binding will be wider. If you have noticed, this is a movie just called Cockhammer that's been signed by the writer and director. Just to let you know, this is not a porn, okay? If this makes you feel uncomfortable, let's switch it up to something different. Oh, what the fuck? There we go. This is a movie called Terra Firma, one of the best Tromaville movies ever made. So the cover will be this size. Now let's look at what I've sculpted so far. I have the flaps, the front, the top and bottom done, and the full cover done. Let's compare the sizes. So let's look at it this way, and there we go. Look how big that is in comparison. It is massive. I have left a lot of overlap just because what Tom did for his resculpt had a lot of overlap. So this will have a ton of overlap. Now, my local store, Hobby Lobby, ran out of milliput, so I kind of stopped, but the actual cover part is done. Now let's go over the details and talk just a little bit about the details. So we have the cover right here. Again, if you watch the past videos, you know this white stuff right here is where I grinded certain things out. Again, here's the face. Here's a lot of the overlap. So the binding is done. The binding is at these two lines, up and down. And when it comes to the back cover, it did not have an ear at all. I have one photo that was given to me by Ryan Lewis and Al Briardi to make this back cover work. So when it came down to the sizing, things like that, I matched up as much as possible. It had a lot of like darkened areas and big like gaps and holes. One thing it had is like a round hole right here and other big gaps that are darkened in. Same thing up here. So it had certain spots. Did not have an ear. So I added all that into it as much as possible. You can see I put my initials in right here. And when this is on the tab, the inner tab. So when it is tucked in, this is upside down, so it won't be so noticeable. Also right here, I put my initials in there. And it is on the tab, it won't be on the outside of the cover. Now, one thing that I'm gonna have to do before I actually make the negative or the mold is certain spots will have to be filled in a little bit more. Like underneath the nose here, I have to fill in just a bit. Inside of here, because it is empty all the way to this area right here. So we'll have to fill that in a little bit, and just a little bit right here. I wanna make it so whenever I make the mold, that I can literally just shimmy it over and pop it out so I don't lose anything. Now, with this being done at a milliput, you hear that? Like an ASMR video. I'm gonna whisper and start tapping on shit. That's kind of weird to me. Anywho, I'm gonna have to fill that stuff in because milliput is very strong. It's not like using the clay where it will break after you make your mold. This positive will last a lot longer. So if I need to make another mold later, I can make another mold. So this sucker could last literally forever. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. But this side right here is gonna be somewhat mirrored on this side as well. You see that line right there? Down here, that's the back cover where it's chopped off. So the cover part is done. The part where I need to look at details where I have photos of it, that part is done. But I'm very happy with this. This line is very prominent on that one photo that I had. So this one is very much sticking out. This one somewhat as well. When it comes to this, I took the two lines from the head, that are very prominent and kept them going. Of course, this will all be chopped down when you have a book, because it is, I made so much extra just to make sure that everybody had enough extra stuff, basically. You know, I didn't want to make it so you were trying to put something together that looked too refined, because it has to look old, it has to look gross, things like that. And Al, when he does these, he knows that whole thing. And one thing that I'm going to do for myself when this is done, I'm going to do a bunch of pulls of covers. I'm going to do one for a book, and then I'm going to take one, paint it up, and frame it up. This will have what we call the prostitute makeup, where the eyes are blackened in, but that nasty looking mascara look will happen. Same thing in the mouth, you have the black, but at the same time, there was pink inside. You're gonna get a bit of pink. It will have the yellowish fried chicken-esque paint for the actual outside. It's gonna be cool, and I'm so stoked for this. Let's look at it at a couple different views. So now we have this view where it's facing up. You can see the depth, certain angles. And I never thought I would really be spending this much time on what is considered one of the ugliest books of all time. But I tell you, after working on this, it's one of my favorites now. Because, you know, it's nothing, it's a book that was never molded. It was made from facial pieces that was added to Scotty. You know, the one you see Scotty wears, that's what was put on here. Not the same ones, but the same appliances per se, but not the exact same appliances. So they were Scotty's facial appliances that made this book. So the details a little bit more. Here's the hole again, like that will be added into like a black color. Certain areas down here, up here, that's the overlap. Now let's take a look at what just the front, back, and the spine will look like. Let's tape that off and show you just that portion of it. Before I show you that, one thing I have to do is show you this. Now, if you remember the photo, when you see Ash pick the book up, when you look at the top of the book, you remember there's a little flap. Now that was just paper, of course. So what I did is I added in that piece. You can see it's up like this and kind of straight out. So it's right at that line, the top line. So when this folds over, you will get that little flap. It will be on that book. And if somebody doesn't like it, you can just cut it off. It's gonna be a latex cover. So it's that simple. If you don't like it, just cut it off. Not a big problem. But I added that on just so it was there. So front to back and spine, this is the cover. It's taped off. You can see all the extra flap that will be added. And it's on the inside line to here, all the inside lines. So that will be the Evil Dead 1 cover that I'm doing. And it will be available for sale, of course. Look at the back, all the way to the front. Get a closer view. It's just so cool. I really do appreciate this book a lot more since doing this. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than a lot that are out there? I have scoured Etsy, and yeah, it is. Nothing against anybody who sells books on Etsy. I've seen some good ones, and I've seen some fucking bad ones. So, and for a lot of money, like some really bad ones for a lot of money. It's like $500 for this. I'm like, no. No. I'm just glad they're building something that's cool, but it's just like, no. But there are some people who do a lot of really good books on Etsy, but when mostly you see the Evil Dead 2 book, or just some generic book, or like the one with the teeth and shit. And for me, it's like it has to come down to, you know, what the book looks like depending on the movie. So I just don't go out and buy just a generic book and be like, oh yeah, it's from Necronomicon. It's got eyeballs in it. No, I don't think so. You know, or, you know, books that look like Mr. Bill, or, you know, that episode of SpongeBob where he drew himself and it looks... I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things. Not saying they're horrible, they're just not good. But people like them, that's really all that matters. And when I buy them, it's like, okay, you enjoy that. But, you know, as long as people are building, that's really all that matters. That keeps the fandom up. And I think it's pretty badass. I really like the side of the lip right there. I will have to fill that in just a little bit more, just for molding purposes. Just so I don't rip the mold, because it's basically like a hard rubber. You can easily rip stuff out. So, look at this. That is so cool. Now there is a certain shot where you can see a little inner piece in there. I left that out just for depth. But I know a lot of people, they get this side, they have it going that way, that direction, which isn't right, but you know, it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good because it does go in line with like a face being stretched, things like that. But yeah, this positive will stick around for a long time. This is one thing I'm not getting rid of, is the positive, because if I get rid of that, then I can never make covers again. Unless somebody says, hey man, I got a pocket full of cash, you want to sell a positive? I'd be like, oh yeah, go ahead. Really don't have a problem with that. When it comes to Tom's recreation, I refined this a lot more to be more gory. His was very just straightforward, just, you know, jagged lines, and then something similar to this. So I did refine the inner flaps a little bit. There's not a lot of great photos of the original, so I can't use the resculpt as gospel, like I said before. So I did add some flair to certain things, and I'm very happy with it. And the flaps, again, will be cut down if it's put into a book. If that's what you want. I mean, you can get a cover and just put the cover up on the wall. I really don't care what you do. Or you can make it, or have Al make it into a book, or John Thomas make it into a book. It's kind of up to you. Like I said, I'm gonna have one into a book, and then I'm gonna have one just hanging on the wall, all painted up and framed up. Yeah, this stuff, it looks like Dookie Brown. I still have to cover that up with Milliput. Now, the store that I have, Hobby Lobby, that has Milliput, they have the super fine white stuff, which I think is crap, and it's overpriced. So I'm just gonna wait until they get the regular Milliput in, and then finish this up completely. So there we go. Hope you guys like it. Now let's put a DVD case and see if it is the same size. So here we go. Oh, for fuck's sake, cock hammer? God. Okay, that's enough of that. Deadfall, one of my favorite non-Evil Dead, Evil Dead-ish Bane films. But yeah, you can see it, it's the same size as the DVD case, go across. Again, from top to bottom, that's where it'll be. So if you're looking at the split point, that mark, it's gonna be about right there across will be the front. And that is cool. That looks very cool. If you wanna go to the back. Now I couldn't use Terra Firma because there's a big white butt right in the front of the cover. So yeah, I don't want YouTube to be like, well, you know, Mr. Brett, that there was a butt that you put on your video and we don't really like that. Yeah, so I didn't use that again. So there would be the back cover. And there we go. Very happy with it, the way things are going. I want to thank again Al Briardi, John Thomas, Ryan Lewis for definitely helping me out with this and encouraging me to get this done, and also to tell me when something's fucked up. I do appreciate that because it keeps me on the right track, and I like the honest opinions. So until next time, you guys stay groovy.